Good morning, boys and girls. Still on a learning curve with this video thing. We're stuck inside the doors, not going out them very much, and really exploring our world through windows. So I'm going to show you a way that you can create a page for your journal that is inspired by doors and windows. Think about all of the different quotes that you've heard regarding windows and doors. It might be something like, when God closes a door, he opens a window. I never quite understood that because I thought, why would you want a window open when what you really wanted was a door? But sometimes it's not about going and doing as much as it is about sitting and watching, being still and enjoying. And I remember some other quotes like, the eyes are the window to the soul. So on with the next page. The first thing that I did was I picked a page in my journal again where I'm going to put it. This one's going to be toward the beginning. Then I chose a piece of paper that is printed or pictured or something like that. I want mine to look like the wallpaper in a room, or it could be, really it could be anything. It's what you visualize your door opening from. So I actually have a piece of scrapbook paper here that I used, but before I made the decision to do that, I looked at a lot of different options I have here at my home. I found pages from a magazine, and I wasn't really looking for anything more than textures like this that I could create a wall from. Maybe something fun like this. Maybe a door into outer space. Maybe these could be made into planets. Again, I found a texture here that looked to me a little bit like a roof texture if I were going to make it a door opening into something instead of out of something. And I guess this one just had some more wood texture on it. But I went through some old magazines I have here at the house and looked for pictures, not just for the pictures themselves, textures they provided. I also looked at what colors of construction paper I have, and maybe even wrapping paper, because that's always an option. Maybe you don't want to have Christmas wrapping paper, but you might be able to find something that's more of a multi-occasion paper that would work well for you. So those are all options. The next thing that I did was I took my piece of paper and I laid it under the page that I was going to do, like this. I make sure that it's pushed in all the way that I can get it in, and then I'm going to trace around this outer edge of my paper to make sure that the paper is going to fit perfectly when I cut it out. This is the piece that I cut out for my page. It's exactly the same size as my page because I traced around the page to make it. But I'm going to do any drawing for my door or my window on the back. So you can see that what I did here on the back was I drew a door. Now you could draw a window, you could draw double doors, you can make your windows however you want them to look. But what I'm going to do next is I'm going to cut along the top, the side, and the bottom. But I'm going to leave this edge uncut because that will be the edge that I fold in order to open my door. I don't want to do that on the front side because it could show in the end, and I want to keep all my messy drawing on the back side of my paper. Just keep in mind that everything will be in reverse when you flip it around this way. So whichever way you cut your door to open, it will open the opposite direction from the front side when you flip it. Like I said, I always have a piece of scrap cardboard at my home that I can draw on or cut on or do things like that. So I always have a couple pieces of this scrap laying around. I'm going to lay my piece, sorry I dropped it, on the cardboard here, and I'm going to cut around it. I'm going to use an X-Acto knife, but if you don't have one of those, that's okay. You can use a pair of scissors. You could fold it and cut on that, or use a steak knife. Maybe have a parent help you. Use a steak knife just to start a hole in there, and then use your scissors to cut it. But keep in mind, you want to keep the integrity of this shape. You don't want it to get destroyed by cutting any other way. Okay? So I finished cutting around my door like this, and I'm going to flip it around to the front. I want my door to open out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a ruler. I'm going to hold it up here so you can see it. I'm going to use a ruler to lay it along that edge. And then lay it flat. And I'm going to score that edge with a pencil or maybe the back of my scissors. I don't want to cut it. Remember, the word score means to sort of scratch or mark the surface of something, not cut into it. So I don't want to cut through it. I just want to make a dented scratch sort of on the top surface. And the reason that I did that is because that makes it so that my paper will just naturally bend on that place where I did that. So you can see right now I have a door. What am I going to do with it? Well, I'm going to glue it onto my paper, but not yet, because I have to figure out what I'm going to see through the door. That's the next step. I know how big my door opening is, so I'm going to lay this down onto a piece of paper or a photograph. I'm going to lay my paper down onto it. I'm going to trace around the inside opening of the door, and I'm going to draw, paint, color, collage, whatever it is that I see through this door. I'll come back and show you what I did in a minute. So just a little update. After I cut out my door, I used that paper that I showed you with the wood texture on it and created a floor. I used just a little picture there so it would look like a mat below my door, and used some of the wood to make a frame around the outside of my door as well, so that when my door is closed, it looks like a door. I'll probably add something that looks like a little handle here, maybe even cut out a window. Not sure yet. Okay, so I'm trying to decide what to put through my door, and I had a lot of different ideas. I started searching through magazines and finding pictures of events that I am really looking forward to when this is all over. So I just pulled out a few pages just to give myself some ideas. These pages aren't necessarily the right size for the door that I've created, but they're going to help me with the concept of what I'm going to put through that door. So I pulled out first this page, which is a family having a picnic, and I'm really looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to summer and being able to celebrate some of the regular summer events with the people that I love. I pulled out these two that are pictures of friends having a meal together and enjoying each other's company, obviously having a good laugh. Looking forward to that too. Maybe even a party. People gathered together to share things like stories and food and just enjoy each other's company. And then I thought, comically, maybe it would be somebody selling toilet paper. So those gave me some ideas of things that I might want to put through my door. But then I thought maybe I want to go grab a photograph of my family, since that's what I was thinking about. But as I went through my photo albums, I realized for me that every family picture that I have is something from the past. But what I really want to be thinking about for myself in this reflective entry is something that I'm looking forward to going out my door to, and that I really am looking forward to leaving this time and going into the future. So the photos just kind of represented the past to me, and they weren't exactly what I was looking for. So I came back to these pictures that I ripped out of a magazine, and I haven't quite decided yet if I would rather draw something or use a photograph of one of these, maybe even do a montage of putting my family's faces into the people who are at the table, just to be comical, because, you know, being lighthearted about these things helps. So I'll make that decision, but you need to maybe think about whether or not you want your door to be opening out into the world and into the future, or opening in. And that might really help you decide what exactly you want to communicate with the door and the window concept. So that's what I wanted to just take a minute to talk to you about. The door could be a door in or a door out, like I said. A door in could be inside of a room, a house, a business. It could be a door into you, as if you allowed someone to open a door into your heart or your spirit. What would they see? The window, which I haven't demonstrated for you yet, but I will do that at the end of this video in case you choose to do a window. A window doesn't really communicate that you're leaving through that window, but rather that you're getting a chance to peer through the window at something that is further away from you. So that's why I thought windows with this might be something that you're really thinking about, something you wish that you could reach out and touch, but there's a window in the way. But again, that could be a concept where you're looking more in the window or out of the window. We say sometimes that the eyes are the window to the soul. So when we look into people's faces, we see something about the inside of them, particularly into their eyes. So it's possible that the window that you create could be about something that you want people to see if they look deep into you. But it could be something that you're talking about that you see in the world outside. And that's not always concrete. That might be meaning that it's not always something that you could touch or name. But sometimes you see things outside in the world around you that are really more about the way people behave, or the way people are talking, or the way people are thinking, or the way that the world at the whole looks to you. So you choose whether or not you want to do a door or a window, and I'll go on with the next step in a minute. So I've decided that I'm going to draw and possibly paint the scene through my window. It's very small though, so I haven't quite decided yet if that's what I want to do. But what I did was I took a piece of drawing or watercolor paper here. I'm going to put my picture over toward the edge so I can save as much of that as possible. And what I want to do is trace around the inside of my door, because I really don't need a picture that's any bigger than that. Maybe slightly bigger, just so that when I glue it on, it doesn't, it has enough overlap to glue to the back of the door, but it doesn't need to be much bigger than that. Okay, so I'm just going to trace around the inside. This is the size of my door, and you can see that I have left a little bit of extra edge here and here. And when I cut it out, I'll cut it out with a little extra here and here, so that when I glue it to my door, I have enough to put glue on. So at this point, you would draw or paint the picture that you want to see through your door. And then I'm going to show you how to glue it. This is the back of my door, and this is my picture piece that I'm going to glue to it. You might think you'd want to put glue on this piece, but I think that the best thing to do is to put glue on the back of the door right around the edge before I fasten it. And the reason I want to do it there is because I don't want glue to end up on my picture. So I have attached my piece to the back of my door, and I can open it and see the inside of that there. And that's really it. The rest of it is all up to your imagination, what you want to do with that. So I'm going to show you just real quickly how to do a window, but I will let you decide how you would dress it up. Remember that you also have access possibly to your home, at least to some scraps of fabric and things like that as well for curtains, if you'd like to add those to your windows. So I will show you real quickly how I would cut out a window. It's just one type of window. You certainly could come up with your own type if you want to do that. I encourage you to be creative. Everyone's reflective journals would have different things in them. So if yours is different, all the better for you. So what I've done here is I've made one more page, because I think I'm going to put my door and my window on opposing pages. One on the back of one page and the front of the next, just like this. So I took and created a second page. I'm going to take this page, flip it over, and I have drawn a window on the back of it. Now this window would be the frame, and I've divided it, I measured the width of it and divided it in half and made a line down the center. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create shutters. I've always been partial to shutters on windows, like real working shutters. If I lived in a place where they didn't have to have glass windows because it was so cold and they just use shutters to keep out the critters. I think that would be really awesome. So I just chose to have a shuttered window. Certainly you could cut your window completely open, which wouldn't be complicated at all. Draw a square or a rectangle or any shape window you want and cut the whole inside of it out. That's absolutely acceptable. I kind of wanted to be able to open mine with shutters again so that I could close it off and open it up when I wish. So you can see my window now that I have cut it like a capital I across the top and bottom and down the center. And then when I flip it over, those pieces are going to open into shutters for my window. And again, I might add some framing. Maybe I'll add some curtains before I put the picture in there. And I'll be able to close it off. So maybe I'll even make the outside of these shutters look more like shutters. Anyway, just some ideas to get you started thinking about doors and windows, going out into the world or staying in. Think about what things those bring to mind and put them down on paper.